Welcome. Greetings, dear friends, everyone who is joining us today. Amazing, what an amazing group of folks we have here today. I'm overwhelmed by the number of hundreds of folks of you who have signed up to join us today. Thank you, thank you. And welcome to this wonderful hour and a half together that we're going to spend today in community. So we really are appreciative of your being here. We thank you for coming. My name is Konda Mason. I'm the youngest sibling of the Mason clan and the daughter of Ovan and Van. I am a mindfulness teacher, I'm a serial entrepreneur, a farmer, a justice and earth advocate, and an engaged citizen of this country. And on behalf of my incredible co-hosts, what a list of folks have been working together to bring this to you. It is absolutely my honor to hold this space for all of us today as we spend this next 90 minutes together, inspiring hope and community and action. And I hope you'll stay with us the entire time, all the way to the end, because there's so much goodness that we have planned to share with you. It's good in the beginning, it's good in the middle, and it's good in the end. So I've been, over these years, I've been through a number of elections in my lifetime. And each one has offered me a meaningful way to channel my spiritual practice into political action as a way of showing care for my communities, for my family, for my friends, neighbors, people that I know, people that I don't know, those who I disagree with, all of humanity. My practice has taught me to leave no one out, while at the same time standing for a just and peaceful world. We've entitled this event, When We Love, We Win. Those words are inspired by the saying, when we fight, we win, which, as many of you probably know, is being used as a theme in our current election. But that's not where it began. The first use of this phrase, it traces back to city life or vida urbana in a Boston-based social justice organization that has its roots in civil rights and anti-war movements. And they used the chant as a way of energizing people. Then later, it was used by the Ahitarte collective as a powerful rallying cry to emphasize the idea that collective action and resistance, especially in the face of oppression or injustice, it can lead to meaningful change and victory when people stand united and fight for their rights. It signifies their belief in the strength of community, the mobilization and the potential for social movements to achieve their goals through sustained struggle. Because, know it or not, freedom doesn't come free. Many people in this country have paid with their lives for the right to vote. It took the 15th Amendment of the Constitution in 1870 for Black men to begin to vote. It was the 19th Amendment in 1920 where women finally got the right to vote. And it was the Indian Citizen Act in 1924 for indigenous people, the original people of this land, to be able to vote. And even though all of these acts and amendments were ratified by the US Constitution, by Congress, Black men and women and indigenous people were oftentimes harassed, lynched, assaulted, and terrorized for decades for exercising this freedom to vote. And it has taken a large group of people coming together across race and class in order to move this needle. So in times we are now living in, when painful parts of the history of our country are attempting to be erased, it is our duty to know the truth and to understand particularly the importance of our vote. and to know how many souls have perished so that all of us have the right to vote. So I implore to you, vote. Please vote. Make your voices heard. Encourage everyone you know to vote. Who will you be bringing with you to the polls? Think about what is your plan for your vote. Early voting is getting underway already across the country. Find out where you live when early voting starts. So for the sake of those who fought for justice and whose shoulders we stand on, I invite you to show up with joy and cast your vote. Because it is time that we not only honor the long, hard fight for justice, but that we now claim joy and love and healing at the ballot box. Because when we love, we also win. That has definitely been my experience in my life. So thank you. Thank you for showing up now, and thank you for showing up at the polls. So today, you'll hear from fellow teachers and leaders. They will speak from the heart about what is motivating them to show up fully in this moment, when each and every action, no matter how small, can add up to an overwhelming yes for the pro-democracy future we know is possible. And it also happens, and we did not plan this, but it also happens that today, September 21st, is also the United Nations International Day of Peace. It's a beautiful moment to come together, to be in community, doing this work in the spirit of compassion, in the spirit of love and peace, along with people all over the world. So again, I want to thank you so much for being here and contributing to this entire global vibration of peace. So I want to list a few details before we drop in. And that is, first of all, I'm really sorry to share that we will not be hearing from Dr. Michael Yellowbird today. He was listed on all of our promotion, but he's traveling and unable to join us. So we send him good wishes and gratitude for his intention to be with us. Also, this live stream is open to all, to everyone. So please feel free to share it, share the link by text or by social media. It's not too late. More people can join us at any time. So please continue to share the link as we continue this journey together. Also, we will be inviting you during this time together to donate to two incredible nonprofit organizations. One of them is called DJs at the Polls. It is the first time I am hearing of DJs at the polls, and it will not be the last. It's reminding us of the fun and the joy that can accompany our precious civic duty. And the second one is called All Voting is Local. And they are supporting election protection and helping to ensure that our votes are fully and fairly counted. You'll hear more from these leaders. They're here to speak to you later on in this program. And the donation links are right here in the comments and in the event description. So please look, you may look right now and find the links where they are located in the description and in the comments. So if you want to, you can get ready and go and start donating now. Okay? We also invite you to sign up for our email list so you can receive a recording of this event that's happening today, and you can share it with others. And stay tuned for other ways that you can take part in this pro-democracy action that we are calling forth. And you'll find that link also in the comments and in the description. And I want to remind you that we named this event, the entire name of this event is When We Love, We Win. Compassionate Activism for November and beyond. So the November election is not the end. It's just the beginning. We want to stay in touch with you because we are looking for the opportunity to co-create a pro-democracy movement based on peace, compassion, wisdom, and love. So please sign up on our mailing list so that you can stay informed and we can stay in touch with you about what happens beyond the election. And finally, just thank you for being here, Knowing that thousands of you are watching right now is just filling my heart with so much joy and hope and confidence that if we each do our part, we will be able to gather after November to continue the beautiful work of becoming a democracy based on compassion and based on love. So we have a lot to do today. Our incredible speaker lineup will fill our 90 minutes, maybe a little more. Hopefully we will make it at the 90-minute mark. And periodically you may hear the tingle of a bell. That is a sign for the bell to tingle. Periodically you'll hear the tingle of a bell. Reggie? Are you there, Reggie? Can you? There's that bell. And that will remind us of the ecology of time and ensure we are able to move through all of the wisdom and beauty together. Now, to get our spirits moving, it is my true delight to introduce the incredible Valarie Kaur. We are so grateful that Valarie Kaur has been able to join us today. Valarie is an activist, a documentary filmmaker, a lawyer, educator, a faith leader. She is the founder of the Revolutionary Love Project. Valarie, please join us.
Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. The beloved community belongs to divine oneness. In that oneness, all become victory. In honor of Konda's invocation of the ancestors, I want to begin by inviting us to feel our feet on the earth. You can close your eyes for a moment. Let us honor the indigenous ancestors who walked this land, who answered the call of their times with wisdom and courage. We honor them, past, present, and future. Letting the earth hold you, taking a deep breath into the body, let it come, let it go. And now I invite you to think of an ancestor who represents courage to you. Imagine them standing behind you, so proud that you are here. Notice what courage feels like in your body. Good. Now picture a child who brings you joy. Imagine them in front of you, smiling at you. You can smile back. Notice what joy feels like in your body. Placing your hand on your heart for a moment. You are the link between ancestors and descendants, between past and future. May you hear the medicine you need today in order to be brave with your life. Let it come and let it go. Opening your eyes, thank you. The ancestor who came to my back was my grandfather. My grandfather traveled by steamship in the year 1913 from India to California. The moment that he landed on this soil, immigration officials took one look at his turban and beard and threw him in the barracks. He was incarcerated on Angel Island for months. It was a time of tremendous white nationalist rage. Does that sound familiar? My grandfather would have been deported. I would not be here with you today if it weren't for the intervention of a lawyer, a white man who decided to see my grandfather not as a foreigner or as an enemy, but as a brother. It was an act of love that led him to file a writ of habeas corpus that freed my grandfather on Christmas Eve of 1913. I want to leave you with this image that no matter what, no matter how hard and how long the struggle was for my grandfather to become a citizen, once he did, he never missed an election. Even when he was old and frail in his 90s, my father carried him to the polls. If our ancestors, who had every reason to give up on this country and its dream, could still labor, could still show up, could still vote as an act of love for us, for future generations, then we can too. Remember, you will be an ancestor one day. And if we show up now with our whole hearts, what they will inherit from this time will not be our fear, but our courage born of joy.
Blessings. Valarie, thank you. Thank you so much for that offering. And you made me, it was wonderful because now my mom, the courageous kettle, is sitting here with me today for the rest of this program. So thank you for that opportunity. Blessings to you. Now, I have the pleasure and the privilege of introducing my dear, dear friend, and a voice that many of you know so well. You know the voice, and that is Miss Krista Tippett. And Krista is joining us on her travels all the way from Europe to share her thoughts with us at this critical moment in this experiment of democracy. Krista is a Peabody Award-winning broadcaster, a National Humanities Medalist, and a New York Times bestselling author. She also created and hosts the podcast On Being with Krista Tippett. Krista is such an inspiration to so many of us. Krista, please join us now. And right now, are we able to bring Krista on?
Trying to unmute.
Okay, my apologies. What a beautiful and tender gathering to be part of. I think of myself as a student of and a listener to the human condition. And I think of love as the most reliable muscle of human transformation. There is no more important muscle for us to be flexing right now. The only thing we know for sure about this election is that in its wake, whoever wins, our country will still be fractured. And the pain and fear behind that fracture run not primarily through politics, but through human hearts and well-being. We need to cultivate love. We will need to cultivate love as a public good as much as ever before. The 20th century world raised me up to think of love as a soft skill. But the places where we thought calculating hard skills ruled and would always win are in dysfunction and disarray. They have failed us. The truth is also, we all know in life as it is lived that love is at once the hardest skill and the most worth it. We know that love is rarely about perfectly understanding the other or feeling perfectly understood. We know that it is about minute-to-minute daily kindnesses and actions more often than it is about feelings. In fact, it's often about what we do in spite of how we feel at any given moment because we choose to stay in relationship. It is what we do and how we learn to speak and to hold our tongues because we care about our words being heard. So the word intelligence is in our midst right now. And I believe one of the things AI is calling us to is to interrogate the fullness of intelligence that is not artificial, that is generative in the old-fashioned sense, embodied, creative, caring, life-giving, and surely learning to love in many forms across a lifetime, whether with people who delight us or with strangers or with the strangers we give birth to, is one of our highest forms of intelligence. So what if each of us, I want to offer this challenge, this calling, what if each of us, as part of the transformation and healing and new life we want to be part of, as this election and campaign proceeds and beyond it, what if each of us starts as a life practice, a spiritual practice, to interrogate these quiet workings of love as it truly functions and enriches real life, not romantically, but practically, pragmatically, transformatively. What if we set forth each of us and accompanying each other a discipline of asking how and why we can begin to strengthen and strengthen a muscular love in our life together? Blessings to you all.
Krista, thank you so much. A muscular love. Wow. I'm going to walk away with that one. Love being the most reliable muscle of human transformation. That is so, so powerful. And it's so necessary because oftentimes it's thought of as Buddhists and people of faith that this love is some mushy love. And what you just brought forward is so important for everyone to hear. So thank you. Thank you so much, Krista, and for coming all the way from Europe and staying up for this event. All right. I surely hope that folks are ready because we have so much more amazing voices to hear from. And we're thrilled that already some donations are rolling in for DJs at the polls, and all voting is local. And to support all of that is to support voter turnout and the crucial election protection efforts. And I'm understanding too that there may be some issues with in YouTube that for those YouTube that you can't see the comments in order to vote that you need. So I think we're working on that. I know that we're working on that. And so I'm hoping that that will fix itself in due time so that everybody has the opportunity to vote and I'm sorry, to vote, to support financially these beautiful nonprofit groups. So next, I'd like to extend a warm welcome to a very dear friend of mine, and her name is Sujatha. She is a warrior of love. I would say, I agree with you with that definition, Krista, because Sujatha absolutely uses the muscle of love to do the work that she does in restorative justice, a meditation instructor, a public speaker, writer, MacArthur Fellow. Sujatha, you are such a treasure, and I'm so happy that you have been able to join us for this event now. So I want to welcome to our stage, our virtual stage, Sujatha Baliga.
Thank you so much, Konda, and greetings, everyone. Good people from Dharamshala, India. Such an honor to have been included in this event, supporting the work of DJs at the polls, and all voting is local. It's particularly close to my heart because back in 2004, when I was still a practicing lawyer, I had volunteered to help protect the vote at the polls. And unfortunately, I had to step in at a few polling sites in West Philly where there were folks in vans with out-of-state license plates who are asking voters intimidating questions about whether they were behind on their utility bills or had ever been arrested, things that bore absolutely no connection to their right to vote. And so I've seen firsthand how important it is that we help everyone, particularly BIPOC and other historically marginalized folks, to exercise their equal rights to full participation in our nation's democracy. I also love that this fundraiser supports Election Day DJs because we all know people show up for the joy and the fun, and they should feel joyful and celebratory and never afraid about exercising what I think of as our sacred duty to co-create the nation that we live in. So when I left the practice of law to dedicate my life to restorative justice, I didn't leave my commitment to democratic ideals behind. And that's because effective restorative justice practice includes the voices of everyone impacted in a situation. We need everyone involved to come up with meaningful solutions and ways to, as my peacemaking teachers say, move forward in a good way. It's really time, it's past time for our nation to move forward in a good way. And that's going to take all of our engagement, For us to be legitimately held up internationally as an example of a robust democracy, it's going to require that every eligible person be able to vote and to have their ballot counted fairly. So we know through peacemaking circles and conflict transformation the world over, and from both Buddhist and secular notions of interdependence, indeed from science, that ultimately there is no such thing as the other side. As Dr. King reminds us, we are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, and that this is the interrelated structure of reality. So when I was invited to be a part of this nonpartisan event, my thoughts went to my past deep canvassing volunteer work in the part of rural Pennsylvania where I grew up. The accents on the other end of those phone calls reminded me of some challenging experiences from my youth, but also of the folks who anonymously plowed our driveway in rural Pennsylvania and dropped off food for months when my father died when I was in high school. Those people surely weren't voting for the same candidates my family voted for. They didn't worship the way we did or eat the food we ate, but they showed up for us in a crisis nonetheless. In this moment, in our own nation's deep crisis of deep polarization, I'm holding on to this ethic, to be our best selves no matter how other people get down, to stay true to timeless values and principles in the midst of these incredibly challenging times, like loving kindness, compassion, respecting people across difference, even when that's really hard. And so I want to just close with this. I'm speaking to you actually from just down the hillside of the Dalai Lama's temple in India. And so I want to call into this event his deep dedication to democracy, both amongst the Tibetan community in exile and globally. As His Holiness puts it, the idea that people can live together freely as individuals, equal in principle, and therefore responsible for each other, essentially agrees with the Buddhist disposition. And on a more secular level, he says, there is an intimate connection between democratic values and the fundamental values of human goodness. So I close with a deep bow of gratitude to the organizers for helping us be responsible for one another and for grounding this event in human goodness. Thanks to the DJs who'll bring the playfulness, joyfulness, happiness to Election Day, and to all voting as local for making sure that all voters will have their voices heard. When we love, we win. When we love, we all win.
Sujatha, thank you so much. Wow, that responsible for each other. There's nothing more succinct. I think the entire message here, you just nailed it in those words, responsible for each other. You know, you brought through Dr. King, and it is absolutely my favorite, one of my favorite things that he's ever said. And it synthesizes that responsible for each other. He says, and I'm going to just repeat and say the whole thing in a real sense, all life is interrelated. All people are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny. Whatever happens to one directly affects all indirectly. I can't be what I ought to be until you are what you ought to be. And you can't be what you ought to be until I am what I ought to be. That is the interrelated structure of reality. Blessings to you, Sujatha. Blessings to all the shoulders that you stand on. Thank you for coming in. His Holiness is right above you. I mean, the energy that you are bringing His Holiness right into this space on this incredible day of international peace. Blessings to you, sister. Thank you for coming. Wow, I love it. I am really, really thrilled that we are able to have such beautiful people join us on this beautiful gathering and journey together. I have so many friends, and I get to play with them today, including Sujatha and others that you've heard so far. And I just have the really good fortune to have brilliant, wise people in my life. And one of them is I'm about to introduce is my longtime mentor and friend and the co-host of this gathering, and the person who has brought me personally through so many trials and tribulations with wisdom and love. And that is Jack Kornfield. Jack is a Buddhist teacher, author, co-founder of the Insight Meditation Society, the Spirit Rock Meditation Center, and the Mindfulness Meditation Teacher Training Certificate Program. Jack, can you join us now?
Yes, can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you fine, Jack.
I'm just so pleased to be with all of you on the screen who are my friends and all the people who are listening. And first, so much beautiful things have been said already. I just want to invite us to take a breath and feel and be present for the sense of community and communion. This is the gathering of spirit and heart. Just let yourself be present for this and the good energy, the care, the well-being. The Buddhist teachings begin with this phrase, "O nobly born, O you who are the sons and daughters of the awakened ones, remember who you really are." And who you really are is this nobility of heart, is this care. I remember, Sujatha, you talked about His Holiness Dalai Lama. When he first came in the 70s to our center in Massachusetts, we all came out, we're standing on the stairs in front of it. And in the back of the group was this woman on crutches. It was Sharon Salzberg. She twisted her ankle. He looked around, and the first thing he did was walk over to her and say, "What happened, dear? What do what happened to you?" It was such a beautiful example of who we are, to care. This is what our hearts know how to do, to reach out to one another, to a kind of universal connection and friendship. You can feel it in this group today, and the invitation is to spread it. And how do we do it? My grandson said to me a year or two ago when he was in preschool, he said, "Baba, I have two friends." I think it was Jamal and Serena. "I have two friends, Baba." And he said, "It was such delight. I have friends." We all do. We all do. Virginia Woolf put it, some people go to priests, others go to poetry. I go to my friends. That's really where our hearts are touched and inspired and moved, and we are friends together. Or Emily Dickinson, who said, "My friends are my estate." We know this, and we can build on it. The last teachings of the Buddha said, if you wish to live in a wise society, live in a society where people come together with respect for one another, with respect for the environment, with respect for the past generations and for those ahead. The beautiful things you heard from Valarie, from Krista, from Sujatha, the invitation of a wise society. "Oh, nobly born," they say, "get yourself quiet. Feel what really matters. And know that we can do this. We can plant seeds of goodness. We can care. We can add our hearts and our voices and our votes." As Reverend Warnock said, a vote is a prayer. Let your vote be a prayer. Yes. Let your contribution be a prayer. Let your donation be a prayer. Send your donation, and it's not money, it's love. It's love for one another. It's love for this earth. It's love that we can come together. Take a moment again to feel the heart connection of the 4,000 people who signed up for today's program and today's event. They're with you. As if we could hold hands. Feel it. Feel the courage that's here in the hearts, the love that's in the hearts. They're with you. We're with each other. Feel the trees joining in. The trees are smiling. They're with us. The animals, they're all voting with us. Feel the goodness of our voices. Let your vote be a prayer, and let your donation, your actions, let it all be a prayer. Thank you. Thank you, Konda, dear.
Thank you,
for
Jack.
your people.
Thank you, Jack. And I know that you're on the road and you pulled over to make this happen. We so appreciate it.
I'm on my way to a wedding in about 15 minutes, but at least I'm already married, so I'm good. Just gonna bless them.
Okay, thank you so much, Jack. May the wedding be a blessing to them. And your vote, may your vote be a prayer and your donation be your action. Wow, I love that. And it looks like we're now up to 6,692 people who are on this journey with us, on this call, on this Zoom, what is this? This YouTube live stream. That's what it is. 6,692 participants. What a blessing. And now I want to take the moment and thank you, Jack, and move on to another incredible human being that I have such a pleasure of introducing and working with. He is a part of the co-host of this event. We've been working together for the last couple of years, doing these kinds of actions around pro-democracy and spirituality. And Reggie Hubbard is one of the most beautiful humans with the biggest heart that is in my life. He is a committed yoga and meditation practitioner. He's a teacher. He's an organizer. You can see him either he's on the yoga mat or he's at the White House, talking to dignitaries. He's a good troublemaker, is who Reggie is, spiritual activist, and he's a sonic healer. He's with the bells. And so through his activism, teaching, and sound, he seeks to offer access to deep peace and connection to the heart. So we're excited to have you, Reggie, and have you here today to bring us into a deeper presence with one another and within ourselves. Please, Reggie, bless us with sounds.
Yeah, Konda, thank you, and blessings upon everyone who has spoken thus far. What rich nectar we've received from the fertile gardens of our minds and hearts. So what I want to do is play a couple tunes just to bring us back to presence, because we can flex that muscle of the heart if the mind is clear and we feel connected to the ground and to one another. So I'm just going to play 3 notes to bring us into deeper presence. So I invite you to find a posture where you can receive sound. Maybe you shrug the shoulders or give yourself a little shake. But center, ground, come home. And I'll play 2 crystal sounds, 1 gong, just to bring us into this sense of presence, mental clarity, and heart love. As the sound fades away, allow tension to fade away, allow the heart to open, allow the mind to clear and settle. And with that, Konda, I pass it back to you. Gratitude.
Thank you so much, Reggie. Appreciate you, brother, so much. Let's just take a deep breath right now, everybody, and take in what we've heard so far. It seems everybody is on the move. Krista was calling in from Europe, Sujatha from India, and Jack's on the road. And yet they all made the space and time to do this and to be here with us all. So grateful for your voices and for your wisdom. This introduction now, I keep saying what a pleasure it is, but it really, really is a pleasure to introduce our next speaker. This is a longtime friend, a dear Oakland comrade, Van Jones. Van is an award-winning lawyer, an author, a civil rights advocate. He's committed to bridging divides in this country. And you've probably seen him on CNN as a host, sharing his wisdom and his powerful insights. I know when I turn on CNN and I see Van's in the house, I just wait for the camera to get to him because I can't wait to hear what Van has to say. It's like I can hardly wait because I know he's going to drop something, a pearl of wisdom. that I so appreciate. Van, thank you for at this really, really busy time and during election time. I know you don't do many things outside of the work that you're doing directly. And this is part of that work, and I can't thank you enough for joining us today. So, Van, thank you for keeping it real and joining us.
Well, it's good to be here, and I'm seeing all my heroes and mentors and inspirations and stuff on the thing. And I kind of forgot I was supposed to talk. But I will. I can always find something to say, and what I will say is this. After this election, if the Republicans win, Democrats are not going to leave. And the Democrats leave, Republicans win. If Democrats win, Republicans are not going to leave. We're all still going to be here once it's all over. When the voting's done, we're all still going to be here. And I think the question is, can we realize that's a good thing? Can we realize that's a good thing? That we need each other. I've never seen a bird fly with only a left wing. Not even in Berkeley, California, not even in Oakland. I've never seen a bird fly with only a left wing. I've never seen a bird fly with only a right wing, even in Tennessee, where I grew up, or Mississippi. We need each other. We need each other. And I think that sometimes as progressives, we focus on a particular question, which is, are you like me? Are you like me? It's an identity question. Are you Black like me? Are you a lesbian like me? Do you vote like me? Are you like me? And that's an important question, because sometimes those differences need to be honored. But I think in the work that I've done, most of the people that I meet in red states and swing counties, they're not so much worried about, are you like me? They're worried about, do you like me? Do you like me? Can you see me? I might vote different from you, but am I still a person to you? And I found there's some magic in saying, I do like you. If you vote against me, that's all right. If you pray different, if you look different, if you love different, if you vote different, that's all right. I still like you. And I'm going to find some way for us to find some common ground. And out of that spirit, we've been able to get Republican governors to open up prison doors and let folks come home. Out of that spirit, we got 35,000 people out of federal penitentiary, out of a Republican governor, out of a Republican president, the last Republican president. Somehow we found a way to get 35,000 people free. It's a miracle what love can do. It's a miracle what love can do. The last time I went to jail, I didn't go to jail marching with Black Lives Matter, as much as I love Black Lives Matter. Last time I went to jail marching with coal miners who were getting their pensions stolen and their health care stolen from big, mean coal companies. And shaking hands with those coal miners who go down in our 2-3 miles down to keep the lights turned on for us, and then come back up with lung cancer and emphysema. And progressives sometimes forget to love them and care about them, at least make sure they can see a doctor. We vote different, but I like them, and I appreciate them keeping the lights on for me. I want to use solar power to do it next tomorrow, but today we're still relying on those people. So I just want to say that after this election, one way or the other, we're all still going to be here. People still going to need help. People still going to need support, and a lot of Black folk who I care about are in red states anyway. So no matter what, we still going to have to come together. So I'm very, very nonpartisan. 3.5 years out of 4. And then for about 6 months, I get real partisan. And then after that, I get a chance to vote, and then I go right back to trying to bring people together. And a lot of the reason I'm able to do that is because of people on this call, some of these faces, the lectures, the podcasts, the voices, the books have all helped me a great deal. And I appreciate being included in this circle. So thank you very much, Konda. Love you.
Thank you, Van. Love you too. This is really wonderful. Thank you. Again, this is the busiest season of your life, and you have taken this moment. I know I've reached out to you before in this season. You're like, no, I can't do anything. Thank you for doing this, Van. It means the world to us and to me personally. So, yeah, it's a miracle what love can do. It's a miracle what love can do. I am so grateful for the love that is in this room amongst the speakers, and I trust it's out there for all of you who are live streaming. I'm knowing you're feeling the love. You know, I'm here in rural Louisiana, where my new home from Oakland, California to rural Louisiana. And I have found so many people here who absolutely vote different from me and who I absolutely have found deep friendships with. And it's just, that's the way it works. That's really the way it works. So thank you, Van, for all that you do to remind us of that. So now we're going to move on with, I'm really thrilled again to introduce these two incredible nonprofit partners that we have today with us. Anton Moore from DJs at the Polls, and Hannah Freed from All Voting is Local. So these two are doing the work, making sure that folks turn out and have fun doing it, and making sure that votes are fully and fairly counted. Deep gratitude for being with us today, and thank you to everyone who have been making contributions to these important nonprofits, because already the money is coming in, the support is coming in, and they are working for us and we are working for them. So thank you, everybody, in this reciprocal relationship. Anton Moore is the founder of DJs at the Polls and Unity in the Community, where he supports his neighbors, his friends, and family in Philadelphia. Thank you, Anton, for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for having us. Thank you, Philadelphia, just doing this, being here. Shout out to Van Jones, too, because he helped us out during the election cycle, too, in Philadelphia, doing some great work. So, to talk about our program, is DJs at the Polls, our 2024 program. I'm Anton Moore, the co-founder of DJ at the Polls. In Philadelphia, in 2008, Philadelphia, we placed hundreds of DJs at polls throughout Pennsylvania, Virginia, and Ohio. We hire local DJs to perform at the polls on election day. To recruit DJs, we tap into the local DJ networks from all across America. DJs post get out the vote messages to their followers that let them know, look, I'm the DJ from your neighborhood. I'm going to be at the polling location on election day. In 2022, we conducted a randomized controlled trial experiment in Philadelphia. DJs boosted voter turnout by 3%. Now, during a control trial, we had 559 people that visited a precinct. Polls with DJs, we had 575.5 people that visited DJs. So it increased. Why DJs? People always ask me this question. Why DJs? DJs are cultural organizers that play at your barbecues, your birthday parties, special events, your family reunions. They put on that Frankie Beverly and Maze, Before I Let Go, and all those great songs. Because people could be having like a downtime, be frustrated, but it becomes a good time and everybody leave that stress and get going on the dance floor. As you can see on the video, people just having a good time. And I look at DJs as being like I call them like the minister of music, because they make people excited and make you just zone out and forget that you're either going through something or having a tough time in life. Now look at this DJ. He's just getting it in right there. So DJs promote voting as an event because they'll let their friends and family know, hey, I'm going to be at this event, and they'll show up just like they do at the polling place. So check out this video.
I know it's early, but y'all know the early bird catches the worm. Today, I am at Queens University in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I'm working with Rally NC and DJ at the Polls to make sure that you get out and vote this November in the elections, all right? So we're here registering people to vote. We're here getting people to sign voter promissory notes, and we're here to bring awareness to DJs at the polls, all right? In North Carolina, there will be a DJ at every polling station. I know voting can be pretty boring standing in those long lines, but DJs at the polls has solved that problem for you, all right? So, I'm here right now, Queens University. We register.
That is beautiful, Anton. That is beautiful.
So,
Thank you. Thank you for your work.
So, thank you. So, we have 4,000 DJs that will perform at polling locations throughout America, and we'll be at 8,000 polling locations. Our DJs perform at polls with a high number of people of color. We send out polling place images text messages announcing that a DJ will perform at a polling place. We promote through radio ads and postcards, like at radio stations like Power 99 FM. Our 2024 budget, DJ, we'll be at 8,000 plus polls. Our budget is 16.8 million. We have a 3.27 million gap that we're trying to close right now.
All right.
So, and just to wrap it up, the reason why this is important, because having DJs from your neighborhood, from their neighborhood, play at polling location, it gives them the opportunity to influence their aunts, uncles, and their everyday neighbors that they see every day. So we build that connection between the DJ and the neighborhood that they're playing in. They're playing in the community that they grew up in, and they're also encouraging their family members, cousins, and neighbors to come out and vote on election day.
Beautiful, beautiful work, Anton. And I love when you said that the DJs are cultural organizers. 8,000 going out. So you have a gap. You're very clear. You have a gap that needs to be closed, a financial gap. We're going to do everything we can during this time together and afterwards to see if we can help close that gap. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yes, absolutely. So next, I'm really excited to also now introduce you to Hannah Freed. And All Voting is Local. That is the other nonprofit that we are raising money for, DJs at the Polls and All Voting is Local. Hannah is the executive director of All Voting is Local. She is a frequent commentator on voting rights and democracy issues and has been featured in media outlets across the country. Hannah Freed, please, welcome. Welcome to the spot.
Thank you so much for having me. I was reflecting that often at the start of a call like this, people will say, thank you, it's an honor to be here. And I really want to say with great authenticity that this is a huge honor for me and for our organization. And we are deeply grateful to be invited into this space. All Voting is Local is a multi-state on-the-ground voting rights organization. We fight against state and local policies that silence voters of color and other historically marginalized communities, not just in election years, but every year. We build nonpartisan advocacy campaigns that call on state and local election officials to make decisions that work for every voter they're supposed to serve. And we do that work year round because that's when these officials are making those key choices that affect voter access, vote counting, and certification of our election results. In 2023, our work expanded access to the ballot for 1 million voters across the 8 states where we work. The moment that we are in presents unique and even frightening threats to the freedom to vote and to have that vote count. It threatens the shared American value that voters pick our leaders and not the other way around. The work we do at my organization can bring up feelings of fear and anger for many of our staff who are from and of the communities that we serve. The work can be deeply personal. It's about their families, their friends, their neighbors, their kids. But the work is also profoundly joyful. I know that for our staff, the work we do isn't just a job, it is a call to serve. A colleague of mine describing a longtime initiative of his that has successfully hit milestones, but not yet achieved its ultimate goal, reflected to me recently how joyful it was to keep up the good fight. And we find joy in our victories. We find joy in a new voting location in Milwaukee or in Pittsburgh or in a tribal community so that voters can cast a ballot where and when it works for them. We find joy in new protections for vote counting in Nevada or Arizona so that voters can be confident that the vote they cast will count. And we find joy in doing the work together. I'm All Voting is Local's executive director. I'm also a co-founder. We started as a team of 2. We worked out of my kitchen before getting incubated as a project of the Leadership Conference, a long-time leading civil rights organization. Today, we have a staff of about 50 working every day in 8 states with over 500 partners. And when I think about the growth, more than the numbers, it's about the wealth and depth of the relationships we've built over these last 6 years. So much of the work we do is possible through relationship. Relationships drive our advocacy. It's our shoulder to shoulder work with and within communities. It's relationships that also allow us to build bridges with elections officials who want to expand access to the ballot and have the power to do so. We're 44 days out, I think. It's getting close to November 5th. That is the last day to vote. And I hope each and every person here on this call leans into your own power and casts your ballot. And if you're feeling called to do even more, and I bet many of you are, I'm going to close with a couple of ways that you can be part of the effort that I'm so proud to be a part of. The first is you can be a poll worker. Our democracy depends on people like the ones here on this call to make sure every election runs smoothly and everyone's vote is counted in their very own community. You can also be a nonpartisan election protection volunteer. Thousands of lawyers and voting rights activists volunteer every cycle to ensure every voter's voice is heard at the polls. For more information about this stuff, you can go to our website, allvotingislocal.org/get involved. I hope you will, and thank you truly for having me and my organization represented today.
Beautiful. Hannah, we are so thrilled to have you and to know and to be introduced to your work. Your work is so vital. So I want to thank both Anton and Hannah for doing what you do, sharing it with us today. Folks, this is democracy in action. It takes DJs and election lawyers and you and me and all of us here. So please show your support. Show your financial support for DJs at the polls and All Voting is Local. So the links, again, are in the comments and in our event description. We need these efforts to celebrate and to secure our democracy. I think I've heard the word joy and joyful used more than a little bit in this time that we've had already together. Make a joyful noise and support these organizations and vote. They need our support. And to build on what Hannah shared, we will be sending around a lot more information for how you can take action after this call, okay? So be sure to sign up for our mailing list so that you can hear from us beyond today. Thank you again, Hannah. Thank you again, Anton. And thank you everyone who has already supported. Keep the dollars rolling. We know that both organizations have gaps financially, and see if we can do what we can do to close them. All right, thank you. Take a breath. Take a breath. Here we are. Over 6,000 strong. We are over 6,000 strong in this moment. Let's take a deep breath in together. And now, again, I'm honored to introduce someone who is very dear to me, who's my friend, my teacher, my comrade. She is Leah Penniman and her teacher, Jun Yasuda San. I'm really honored to bring them both to the spotlight. Through regenerative agroecology and walking for peace, both Leah and Jun Yasuda San show us how to practice mindful action. Leah is a Black Creole farmer, mother, soil nerd, author, and food justice activist from Soul Fire Farm in Grafton, New York. She's joined today by her teacher, Jun Yasuda San, a Japanese Buddhist nun and caretaker of the beautiful and sacred Grafton Peace Pagoda. Leah and Jun Yasuda San, please, you're in the spotlight now.
Hello, friends. Happy International Day of Peace. We are honored and excited to talk to you today about nonviolent practice in action and how does our commitment to nonviolence influence our civic engagement. To understand that, we have to understand that violence has many forms, and predominant among them are forms of structural violence. Whether it's poverty, racial injustice, genocide, colonization, or poverty, These forms of violence need to be addressed actively, which is why nonviolence is not a passive practice. It's not just about sitting down. It's about recognizing that violence and injustice are what we oppose, but people are never our enemies. A question that often arises for nonviolent activists is, how do we then engage with a system that is so intertwined politically with this structural violence? Why not just opt out? And something that's been helpful for me in thinking about that is this model of nonviolent transformative social justice as a butterfly. So just as a butterfly cannot fly without all four of its wings, nonviolent transformation can't happen without all four foundational strategies for change. So many of us are familiar with healing. That's meditation, prayer, therapy, and art. And it's important and foundational to address trauma and to train our inner world so it matches the outer world we hope to see. We're familiar with resisting. That's protest, boycott, acting outside of the system to interrupt harm with an immediacy and uncompromisingly. Many of us are builders. We create the institutions that embody the values we want to see, whether that's our freedom schools, our food co-ops, our alternative farms. And reform, this is the place where electoral politics comes in, is where education comes in. It's where that incremental change comes in. It can often feel challenging because it can feel as though it demands a compromise of our values. And when we're working with reform, I encourage us to recognize that it's a relative approach. It's about reducing suffering, even if we cannot eliminate suffering. When we protect a forest, when we gain debt relief for Black farmers, when there are lunches for school children, we have reduced suffering. And similarly, it's about advocating for increased opportunities for the grassroots, the builders and resistors and healers to do that more foundational transformative work. It also is about ensuring that we invest energy in protecting those and honoring those who vote, who sacrifice their lives for the vote, and the poll workers, the DJs at the polls, and to balance our energy on all four wings of the butterfly. Nonviolence is a rigorous spiritual discipline. It is a lot easier to be hateful, to be angry, to be divisive. It takes training in order to embody peace and nonviolence, which is why I'm so honored to be here with my dear friend, teacher, and neighbor, Jun San from the Grafton Peace Pagoda, who has walked, drummed, and chanted for peace for thousands of miles across the world at Auschwitz, at Hiroshima, with the American Indian movement 3 times across the entire country, along the routes of slavery, with an uncompromising commitment to seeing the divinity and the godliness in each and every being. And so I turn it over to Jun-san to lead us.
Thank you everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that beautiful offering. What a blessing. What a blessing to feel the vibration of that, the drum and the chant, and really feeling into the powerful, beautiful work that you've been doing all around the world for peace, for peace. Thank you both for joining us. So thrilled. Take it in for a moment and feel the vibration. So now we're going to transition from this vibration of sound to the vibration of poetry with the incredible Danna Faulds. Danna is a very, very old, dear friend of mine and an incredible inspirational poet. Whenever I need a poem to place in a talk that I'm giving, Danna, I always go to you. She's a poet and a long-term yoga practitioner who credits her practice of meditation and giving with her practice of meditations, with giving her reliable access to a vivid inner life and a creative voice. Danna, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Konda. I'm honored to be sharing a poem today, especially because one theme of this gathering is love. In my own journey back from depression and childhood trauma, I discovered that the only way forward was having compassion for everything that arose inside and outside of me. It took an open heart and a lot of persistence to make any headway with old, entrenched patterns. So my experience says if there's going to be real societal change and a healing of our collective trauma, it has to start with love. As a pointer in that direction, this poem is titled, It's Love. Of course we are connected. And by we, I mean every creature, tree, and human on the planet. It's love that links us. Love that we can find by turning inside and growing quiet. By love, I don't mean sappy, sentimental feelings, but the heart's imperative to reach out with caring and compassion for each other. By love, I mean the vast ocean we all float in, the underlying, unifying isness of creation. Pay attention to that ocean and the world's cynicism and dismissiveness loses its grip. Focus on that ocean and possibility grows like light at sunrise. Love, the very foundation of our being, is what will lead us to our best expression and the collective wisdom needed to source real solutions here. It's love that illumines our way forward. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Danna. It is love that's moving our way forward. Beautiful. Thank you for grounding us in poetry and love. And the heart's imperative to reach out in compassion and caring for each other. A perfect, perfect reset. Thank you so much. Now, I'm happy to turn to another comrade, friend, multidimensional, multidisciplinary healer and visionary, Kazu Haga. Kazu is the founder and the coordinator of the East Point Peace Academy, a core member of the Ahimsa Collective and the Yet to Be Named Network, an author of Healing Resistance. I really recommend everyone pick up the book, Healing Resistance. He teaches in prisons and jails, high schools and youth groups, and with activist communities all around the country. Kazu, thank you for saying yes, for joining us. Please bring him to the spotlight.
Thank you so much, Konda. I should let folks know that the Yet to Be Named Network now has a name. We are now called the Fierce Vulnerability Network. Yeah, I want to thank all of the speakers and all of the folks that are listening. As I was thinking about this event coming up, I kept thinking about one of my favorite quotes from Dr. King, of which I have about 50. But once Dr. King said that power without love is reckless and abusive, and love without power is sentimental and anemic. And that power and love at its best are two sides of the same coin. They need each other. That without one, the other can be dangerous or ineffective. And I think it's important for us to remember that, because as others have said, no matter who wins in November, we will still live in a world with injustice. And injustice isn't a political thing. Injustice is a manifestation of collective trauma. And it's a deeply human experience that takes love to heal. And at the same time, if our goal is not just this person for president or that person for president, but if our goal is liberation, then we need to continue the struggle to hold elected officials accountable to that. But because we live in a world where accountability is so oftentimes conflated with things like punishment, we think that accountability is a form of punishment. And I view things very differently. I want to live in a world where we view accountability not as a form of punishment, but as an act of love. We hold people accountable because we want them to do better. We know that they're capable of doing better. And when we think about holding people accountable, how do we center the word holding? Like, what does it mean to hold someone so that they can go through their own journey of accountability? And as we move through building movements that hold elected officials accountable, how do we center love, even for our so-called opponents? Because in an interdependent world, there are no opponents, right? There is nobody outside of beloved community. And how do we remember that me loving the next president of the United States is probably going to do nothing to change that person, but it does something to me. When I step out into the streets to try to harness the power that it takes to stop injustice, but also with the love to try to heal it, it may never change the person that I'm loving or that I'm trying to stop their actions, but it does something to me because it reminds me that if even they are part of beloved community, then I must be also. In the conventional electoral sense, in November, one person is going to win and another person is going to lose. But in the ultimate sense, the idea of winning itself is a delusion. There's nobody outside of beloved community. So if one person loses, then we all lose. And if we are to be liberated, then we have to work for the liberation of all people. So, I don't have any answers, but in this really complex, escalated moment, I just want to leave with an inquiry of how do we mobilize the power needed to stop injustice while cultivating the love that's necessary to heal it. Thank you all for being with us.
Kazu, as usual, Kazu, I continue to learn from you. That was really, really, that was a profound question you left us with, a very profound question. And when you said no one is outside of the beloved community, no one is outside of the beloved community. Imagine our world living like we knew and understood that no one is outside of the beloved community. Thank you for your sharing. And, we didn't mention the Kingian nonviolence that you do and how Mr. Kazu is a Martin Luther King specialist, I'd say, and knows more about Dr. King than most people. And you live it, you breathe it, and you teach it, and you share it. So thank you for everything so much, Kazu. And I want to now thank everyone again for activating your support. I'm getting word that DJs at the polls and all voting is local, that the numbers are coming in, that the support is coming in. Thank you so much. We really going to make sure that throughout this time together and after we hang up on this call, that we continue to support these two organizations as they support the work that we're here to do. It takes a village. It takes all of us, and especially these nonprofits who are working so hard to make it right for all of us. We need to step up. And thank you, everyone who has stepped up so far. They need our love and our care. So we got to keep it going. Just keep it going. All right. So next we're turning to another multi-layered, multi-dimensional leader who I just love and adore, Dr. Lyla June Johnston, who she will share remarks and also a song. I said Lyla, I meant Lyla. I am so sorry. Lyla June is an Indigenous musician, scholar, and community organizer of Dene and Succestis and European lineage. Her messages focus on Indigenous rights, supporting youth, traditional land stewardship practices, and healing intergenerational and intercultural trauma. Lyla, please join me now.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes,
it's so good
we
to
can
be
hear you
here.
fine.
Thank you, sister auntie. Happy to be here. I'm gonna sing a song that I wrote a while ago called All Nations Rise. And it's honoring all nations of Indigenous peoples, but also really like all nations, because we are all of Indigenous roots somewhere. We might not all be Indigenous to the place that we're standing, and that's an important distinction, but we are all Indigenous to a place, or in my case, places, because I'm Dene, Tsessis, and Scottish. So I have multiple rivers that come together to make me who I am, just like most of us these days. So it's really to beckon us to tap into our Indigenous roots, no matter who we are, because those roots are the ones that already knew all the things we're talking about right now. Those roots, if you go back, far enough in Europe, there's 17,000-year-old cave paintings of bison and ibex and horses and pregnant women. And there's a really sophisticated goddess culture that we see before the Roman Inquisition, before or rather the Roman expansion, before the Inquisition, before the burning of women as witches. Obviously, there's so many, hundreds of rich Indigenous cultures in Africa, in Australia, in the Pacific Islands, in Asia, Southeast Asia. Every corner of this planet is billowing over with such gorgeous, beautiful traditions. And so it's really beckoning us to all tap into who we are. And speaking of, I just really want to say a prayer for the people of Palestine and the people of Israel, both. I'm honestly pretty heartbroken right now about it, and I'm pretty heartbroken that Palestinian children are not spoken about very much at the DNC or the RNC. And so I just want to do my small part to say, hey, all these children matter, no matter what side of the line they're on. We're all one, like we're saying here. So we should fight to protect all of them equally. Okay, here we go. All nations rise, rise up, 'cause now's your time. Indigenous people, shine your light, we are equal, yeah, yeah. I remember the days when our prayers were illegal. I remember the days when being Indian was lethal, yeah, yeah. Yeah, we had a rough past, but get ready for the sequel. Get ready for the glorious comeback of our people, oh yeah. Rise up, all you warriors of love, all you answers to the prayers of our ancestors from above. I could feel it in my heart. Can you feel it in your blood? I could hear the seventh fire calling us to wake up. All nations rise, rise up, 'cause now's your time. We don't have to hide anymore, 'cause now's our time. With forgiveness as my bow and my prayers as my arrows, pull it back and let it go. I watch them fly like sparrows. Have hope, have hope. With compassion as my shield and faith down to my marrow, I will walk the pollen path even when it gets narrow. Yeah, yeah. Resurrect. Yes, you can bet that we seen the single mama raising children on the res. We seen domestic violence tear apart what we have left. We seen the alcohol take it all and leave us dead. We've seen the children take their own lives when they can't take the dread anymore. No, we can't take the dread anymore. No, I won't take the dread anymore. 'Cause we can't stand the dread anymore. Yes, it's a war, but we've seen it all before, and now we know we can change it, 'cause that's why we were born. We know we are the ones that we have been waiting for. Yes, we are the ones that grandma has been praying for. So rise up, all you warriors of love, all you answers to the prayers of our ancestors from above. I could feel it in my heart. Can you feel it in your blood? I could hear the seventh fire calling us to wake up. All nations rise, rise up, 'cause now's your time. We don't have to hide anymore, 'cause now's our time. So they say that history is written by the victors, but how can there be a victor if the war isn't over? And this time we know that cannonballs and bullets and weapons are not going to save us in this battle. And this time we know it's not cowboys versus Indians anymore. It's all the beautiful races of humanity together on one side. And we are fighting to replace our fear with love. And in this battle, the only weapons that are useful are the weapons of truth, faith, and compassion. So thanks, everyone, and free Palestine. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Lyla. And, you know, I heard you. We heard you. Rise up, warriors of love. Rise up, warriors of love. We hear you. Thank you. Thanks for the spirit that you bring. You always bring, where every door you walk through. So much grace. So next, it's my pleasure again to introduce someone whose work is just beautiful in the world, and I have so much love for. And this is Miss Marisela Gomez. Marisela is a community activist, a public health professional, a physician, scientist, drawing on 17 years of activism research in East Baltimore. Her writings address mindfulness practice in community organizing and in development. Marisela, please join me. Very good to see you.
Marisela, bowing in to honor this intention, and so happy to be a part of this. Konda, it's lovely to see you. It's been a minute since I've seen you. No hair. Yeah. And good to see others on the call as well. I'd like to honor first and thank dear Venerable Thai Thich Nhat Hanh, the teacher in the Plum Village tradition of engaged Buddhism, who I offer deep gratitude for the teachings that have brought me into this path of liberation and compassion. I also want to honor the fact that today is International Day of Peace. And across the world, different sanghas or communities of practice in our tradition have been practicing walking for peace. And different sanghas in Israel of our tradition have been walking for peace today, and different really create and build this energy for peace.
Marisela, you're breaking up a bit.
Okay. I just got the message that says my connection is unstable. Sorry about that. Is it any better now?
It's a little better now. Continue right now. Yeah, let's see what happens.
Okay. What I wanted to share is that this path of activism for me, and I think for many, it's a path of our liberation. It's a path of bodhicitta. Bodhicitta is this in Mahayana Buddhism. It's this understanding that we want to open up the heart, in the seed of compassion in our hearts that sometimes covered over because of all the things that happen. And so this path of liberation, this path of developing compassion for all beings, first starts with ourselves so that we can liberate that seed that's there that may be covered up. And the reason we want to do that is because we see there's so much suffering. Yeah. And this is the same thing that we do with activism, is we see there's so much suffering and we want to change that. Right. And so this path of liberation that we all follow and that we all practice toward in different spiritualities, it almost often is looking to unearth and uncover what's in our heart, the softness in our heart that brings us forward to be able to go beyond the separation of us and them, and to break through that bond, that tethering that keeps us from seeing each other, loving each other, having compassion for each other. So this understanding, Thich Nhat Hanh would say that there is no socially engaged Buddhism, because socially engaged Buddhism is Buddhism. It's the same thing. So thank you for doing this. We hope that everyone really understands that the path of liberation is really a path of justice. It's a path of compassion. It's a path of equanimity, where everyone is included and no one's left out. It's a path of balance. And that's really what we're trying to do here, is encourage people to open their hearts to see what's needed in order to make sure everyone is included and no one's left out. And voting is something that allows us to do that. People died for the vote, y'all. Black folk died for the vote. Many people, women died for the vote, right? And so it's nothing to be taken lightly. So thank you. Wishing you all the compassion get unburdened so that it flows out and we can really continue this path of liberation.
Thank you. Thank you, Marisela, for that offering. That again, pointing to the joy, pointing to bringing the joy to this practice of voting, this practice of connecting with each other and understanding that we are all so deeply interconnected, that there is no other, that, yeah, there's no one outside of the beloved community. So we're coming towards the end of our program, and we have one more incredible speaker that I know you all want to hear, and it's Tara Brach. And before I introduce Tara, I just want to thank everyone for being here today. I want to thank you for showing up. I want to really invite you to continue to show up in your lives, show up for each other, show up at the polls, bring everyone you know to the polls. Let's vote. It is a right. It is a freedom. It is something that we have all expressed how others have worked so hard, have died for the opportunity to have this precious gift of voting. I want to thank you for also supporting DJs at the polls, and all voting is local. My understanding is that the support, the financial support continues to come in. Thank you so much. Keep it going. We can continue after we close down this program. We really hope that you will continue to support these two nonprofit organizations up and through the time of November 5th. And so remember that it is a tax-deductible donation that you will be giving. It is a part of our interrelated structure of reality, of how we help each other and we're there for each other, and that this is what democracy looks like. This is what democracy is all about. And we can co-create something beyond November. We are talking about something that goes beyond November. And so please sign up on our email list so that you can be a part of what happens beyond November, because there's so much work to be done. And we will continue to love each other, to show up for each other in every way possible. Thank you, people. Thank you, good people. Thank you, friends, for being here with us. And now I want to introduce my friend, my co-conspirator, the person who, the person who is a co-host of this entire event, who co-created this event, who has put so much of her love and passion into this event. And that is, and into our lives, into so many of us and how we think and approach the world. So many of us have listened to that voice of Tara Brach coming through and showing us another way to live. Tara is an activist, a psychologist, an author and teacher of meditation, emotional healing, and spiritual awakening. She is also, along with Jack Kornfield, the co-founder of the Mindfulness Meditation Teacher Certificate Program. Dear ones, dear friends, I want to bring to the spotlight Ms. Tara Brach.
Well, a bow of gratitude, Konda, these speakers that have been so inspiring to my heart, each one really, the team that organized, and I'm really feeling all of you. I mean, there's 6,000 here right now, and those who are listening at another point, just feeling you. So I want to bring up a word that hasn't been so much spoken, because in these last months, so many people have said, how do I manage the fears around the election, really beyond November, the fears about the dividedness and the violence and the hatred. And here's the thing, the fear is intelligent. And if we look under the fear, it's because there's something we really care about. And if we can stay with that caring, anything's possible. And it takes some attention. I mean, we know that action reduces anxiety. And that when we engage from caring, we bring healing to our world. I mean, there is no power greater in this world than we act together. And here we're speaking so clearly across race, across class, across religion, across all the ideas of separateness when we act together from love. It's what Gandhi and Martin Luther King meant by soul force. It's what we mean by warriors of love. So friends, if we sense all of us gathered here, all of us in this country and around the world who care, and really sense we're part of this field that's filled with a yearning for a peaceful, more loving world, it brings trust in what's possible. I mean, choosing love, and that's really what we're talking about, choosing love, including all in our heart, and acting from love. It's a practice. It's a discipline, as one person said. I think it was Leah. That we can truly, I mean, just imagine this. Can we truly see and feel that no one is outside of beloved community? I mean, can we? Because it's not easy. I can say personally, it's not easy. The reflex is to create others. And so there's two ways of paying attention that really bring it alive, that we're all part of the same beloved community. And one is that practice of looking toward the goodness, the innate goodness and divinity of each person, of each being. It's like Van said, you can be different, you can vote different. I still like you. So powerful. I mean, if you can imagine your great-grandchild or a friend's great-grandchild, and the great-grandchild is someone who feels like the opponent or enemy, those great-grandchildren being together, walking together, serving together, that opens us. So choosing love means also to see the vulnerability in those we consider other. I mean, imagining them as a child or imagining them suffering greatly, holding with compassion. There's something that gets confused a lot about choosing love, and a few people have spoken to it, that love is not weak. It's as Roshi Joan Halifax says, we love with a strong back and a soft front. Power in love. It's fierce, it's protective, it's clear, and our heart's truly tender. So in that spirit of strong back, soft front, holding hands, moving forward together, I'd like to have a closing reflection for all of us. And you might just take a moment, as we've been doing, to pause, that sacred art of pausing, and take a nice full deep breath. And sense perhaps what you're afraid of, and more deeply, what you're caring about. What is it you want to see in this world? What do you want to see unfold? What does your imagination, your vision say is something beautiful and possible? And as you sense into that, feel the strong back that wants to protect the vulnerable, that wants to fight injustice, speak truth, that clarity, that power. And simultaneously, the soft front that is absolutely tender and inclusive, that all are part of beloved community. And from this space, just sense in this moment, what is love asking? How might you engage or continue to engage in ways that express your caring? Holding hands with others on the path. It's a miracle what love can do. The world we long for is possible, and we help create it in every moment that we choose love, that we replace fear and anger with caring, that we replace isolation with acting together. So a final prayer just to sense all of us here, all of us listening, all of us around the world caring, that shared heart space. And you might include in the ancestors and our descendants, all who care and long for a more loving, just world, just belonging to that vast, caring heart space. May we bridge divides with a growing understanding and compassion. May humans move forward together in creating the world we believe in, a world of peace and justice, love and freedom. And now we listen to the final sounds of song, Lead with Love.
Thank you, Tara. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Tara. I want to just give a shout out to the musician who is going to gift us now with the song Lead with Love. Her name is Melanie DeMoore. Melanie lives in Oakland, California, is an incredible beloved artist in the Bay Area. She is a singer, composer, choral director, music director, 3-time Grammy winner. And nothing is closer to her heart than bringing people together whenever she is in the experience of healing, of the healing power of music. You'll see that, you'll hear that. And one more last pitch. There are 6,000 of us here on this live stream. If each and every one of us just gave $5, we'd raise $30,000 right now for these two wonderful nonprofits. So please, let's give. Let's do our part. Thank you, all the speakers. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for showing up. And now we're going to close with Ms. Melanie DeMoore and her beautiful music that she's offering to us. Peace and blessings, everyone.
You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Don't give up hope. Don't give up hope. You're not alone. You're not alone. Don't you give up. Don't you give up. Keep moving on. Keep moving on. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Lift up your eyes. Lift up your eyes. Don't you despair. Don't you despair. Look up ahead. Look up ahead. The path is there. The path is there. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. The other one foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. The other one foot in front of the other and lead with love. I know you're scared. I know you're scared. And I'm scared too. And I'm scared too. But here I am. But here I am. Right next to you. Right next to you. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. The other one foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. The other one foot in front of the other and lead with love. And lead with love. And lead with love. And lead